Welcome to the show with no name for Friday, January the 17th. January the 17th, 2014. This is the show with no name. And I'm Bob Going, and there's Jim Nikosha, and we have our official show with no name mugs. We never use these on the radio for some reason, because they don't serve us any coffee down there.
Well, they have a coffee maker there.
Right. Has anybody ever offered you a cup of coffee there?
Well, no, but it's there in case we want to buy them some coffee.
yeah. There's a coffee in a cardboard cup machine out in the lobby there too. Well, anyway, did I say I'm Bob Going? This is Jim Nikosha, and Gavin Murdoch is not available today, still a bit under the weather. I don't know if he's under the weather, but he said he was contagious, and that was good enough for me to cancel his appearance.
Definitely.
Well, we had a very lively radio show on Tuesday, you and I, without Gavin.
Not because he wasn't there.
It wasn't lively because he wasn't there. It just happened to be a lively show, and we got into that crazy decision of the Corporation Council saying that the mayor could ignore contracts that had been approved by the Common Council.
That's Judge Jerry.
Yeah, I don't know.
Judge Judy is Judge Jerry.
Yeah. Well, you know what Judge Judy said, or it was a saying of her father, was the title of her book, "Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining." Which is she was a family court judge in Manhattan, and she got to use that a lot. Did I tell you I did my training under her?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, when I was elected to family court. They sent all the new family court judges down to New York County Family Court to spend the day with Judy Scheindland, and she gave us tips on how to handle family court.
Really?
And it was an amazing experience.
I'm sure with her.
One of the most important lessons was how to use your time. Because that court, that court period, but particularly in New York County, is so busy that you have to find ways to make time and cut corners, not cut corners, but get everything compacted, yeah. And one of the things she did was, well, first of all, she took no nonsense from the lawyers. I don't want to hear about this. I don't want to hear about that. This is in the record already, right? These are the facts I need to know to decide this case. Da 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 da. Go. And even as literally as the litigants are walking into the courtroom, before they've even taken their places, let alone sat down, they're sworn in. So we skip that whole.
Everything's gone through.
Right. No, how old are you? Where have you been? No, I know all that stuff. There's such a proceeding as a permanent neglect proceeding, which means that if a child has been in foster care for more than a year, the Commissioner of Social Services can bring a permanent neglect proceeding to free the child for adoption. And the elements of this obviously are pretty strict to terminate somebody's parental rights, but they have to show that the parent has made no effort to solve the problems which led to the child being there. Well, I saw her do that day a full-blown permanent neglect trial, covered all the bases, and plenty of opportunity for the parent to testify and all that stuff and present his own case. 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Wow.
Wow. I've seen them last brought over several days, over several months.
Wow.
Remarkable, and it was picture perfect. Picture perfect.
That comes from experience and knowledge.
And having a rapid fire mind too. She was terrific. So I learned an awful lot from her. one of the, she says, you should begin every decision by saying, this court has had the unique opportunity to examine the credibility and demeanor of the witnesses. That's the way when it goes up on appeal, the appellate court will say, well, look, you know, this one says this one says that. We can't, you know, we're not in any position to decide who was telling the truth and who wasn't, but the person sitting on the bench had a chance to, as a trier of fact, and we're not going to interrupt, you know, overturn that.
Yeah.
The other thing, the other thing was all patter. The court finds that the petitioner has met the statutory burden of proof in this matter. Why do you say that? She says, because there's so many different burdens of proof that you have to face. In you know, juvenile delinquency proceedings, it's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. I think in termination of parental rights, it's clear and convincing evidence. And in some other cases, it's just a peppercorn of difference, one over the other will decide the case, you know. She says, no court seeing that will assume that you don't know what the statutory standard of proof is for this case. And she's right. Anyway, she was brilliant. It was great. She served a nice lunch too from the local deli. Yeah, and she was very pleasant. You know, I mean, she can be abrasive in the courtroom and on TV. Looked like the lawyers all hated her. Yeah. And I thought she was as charming and smart, and she stands about, you know, 4 feet tall.
I was going to say about 4 foot.
Yeah, she's.
I've seen her on a couple of shows, and.
But in real, let me tell you, in real court, she was the same way as on TV. Yeah. You know, and so who else to get to decide a case in 10 minutes and 2 cases in half an hour than somebody like that? Yeah. I should do that, huh?
Cut to the chase.
We should do a local people's court type thing. What do you think? I still got the robes. Anyway. I don't know if you were following on Facebook last night, but the mayor is all upset. Oh.
No, I didn't. I didn't see it.
Oh, the disrespect the Common Council has shown her. You know why?
Oh, because they didn't ask her advice.
Oh, well, worse than that. Well, it's along those lines. But you know how the rules of the Common Council say that if you're going to introduce a resolution for the meeting next week, the aldermen have to present it by Wednesday.
By Wednesday.
Right. So, somebody, I don't know who, presented resolutions to override her 2 vetoes on the golf course matters.
Oh, really?
And she was outraged because she had not yet filed her a veto with her accompanying reasons for why she was vetoing. And how dare they introduce a resolution to override her veto.
That hasn't been.
when they haven't even had a chance to see her esteemed opinion on the matter. Well, wow. Look.
Wow.
Now,
they know that she's wrong.
Right. So what's the rule on how long a mayor has to veto?
15 days.
15 days after it's filed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now they passed those resolutions on the meeting on January 1st.
Right.
Right. Which means the 15 days were up when? Yesterday. Thursday. The day after the resolutions are due, right?
Yes.
Now, if not on day 1, at the latest on day 2. Careful, Chippy, don't knock over the camera. Okay, Chippy the Wonder Dog.
On day 2.
On day 2, she pretty much announced to all the world that she was going to veto these. Right. She was shocked, dismayed that they would bring these up on consent. How dare they? Blah, blah, blah. Don't they do? We have a golf commission that wants to weigh in on these matters, even though they had how many months previous?
They had a whole year.
They had 6 years, actually, to do it. Now, you know what she was doing? She was playing games with the Common Council, as always. So she waited until the last minute of the 15th day to file this so she could outsmart the Common Council, because by then it would be too late for them to put the override resolution on for the meeting this coming Tuesday. She did this on purpose.
Yeah, but,
Well,
okay.
I know we can talk our way around this, and we also know that by unanimous consent that they can put it on,
Yeah.
and which they probably would have done anyway. As Diane Hatzenbuehler, 4th Ward Alderman, pointed out quite calmly and distinctly, and look, we had to file it then, so that you don't complain next Tuesday that you were shocked that this resolution is suddenly being brought forth on unanimous consent with no time to consider it. They've been talking about it for 3 weeks.
Yeah. This was on her Facebook page?
Yeah, when she cross-posted it everywhere.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't go on Facebook yesterday.
So absolutely, she's the one who's playing the games, and
Well, she got caught.
and she's outraged that they outsmarted her on it.
She got caught on
Yeah,
it. She got
and as Diane points out, look, this is only putting it on the table for discussion, right? It's placing it on the table. We don't have to. Nobody has to vote for it. We don't. We can table it when we get to it. We can decide we need more information. We have plenty of time to review what the mayor has to say and say some things ourselves.
Right.
So, but it's all this. Oh, they're so terrible. They're picking on me. They're so. She's got to give it a rest.
She can't.
I know.
can't.
She gets obsessed with these side issues.
Because this council, it seems like this council is not going to take any of her baloney and Jerry's baloney.
Yeah.
So and they're upset about it. They're between a rock and a hard place. They don't know what to do now because they're not going to be able to run roughshod over the council and the city.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually got a council that cares what happens.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so she's posted her reasons how much money the city's going to save by a plan where the city rents out the golf carts.
And how much are they going to have to pay the pro?
Well, are they ignoring the fact that you have to pay somebody
Yeah.
to run it, even if you own all the carts or rent all the carts or whatever?
Is the pro going to go over there and just take revenue from the pro shop, which is nothing, and let the city take over everything else?
She's got somebody she wants to appoint as the pro, and she likes his business plan. She likes the fact that he's not Joe Morendo.
Yeah.
Is what it's all about.
At what
He's
cost?
not Joe Morendo.
Yeah. At what cost?
And for her to pretend that this is a money-saving venture is absurd. We paid Joe Morendo next to nothing. I mean, she spends more on rock gardens than we pay Joe Morendo for her
He gets
salary.
20 grand a year, I believe.
22, I think, maybe.
All right, 22 grand a year.
Yeah.
And everything else he's got to make up on carts,
Yeah. And on the profit margin on golf balls and tees.
golf
right?
balls and tees.
And
And if he gets a lesson now and then.
and any, and all the expenses of the carts he has to bear himself. If something breaks down, he has to take care of it. The maintenance has to be done. He has to do it. If he can't do it himself, he has to hire somebody to do it out of his money.
He has to own a certain number of carts in order to get along with that business. And if there's a tournament, then he's got to go out and rent carts.
All right. All right.
So I'm not a.
We know what it's about.
Yeah, I know.
We know it's about. Joe Morendo's a friend of Ronnie Barone's, and frankly, he's a friend of a lot of people, including
Yes, he
me.
is.
Because he's a good guy, and he's done his job over the years, and he served his country. So,
When is the next council meeting?
Tuesday.
This coming?
This is the official meeting. This is the second meeting of the month. The first meeting should have been like on the 7th, I guess. But since they had the meeting on the 1st, they designated that as the first meeting. So the second meeting is the third Tuesday, the 21st.
Since I can't get it on TV, I may have to go to a council meeting.
Wow.
As much as I don't want to.
Wow.
I refuse to pay them an extra $1 a month to get that box to watch something I'm already paying for.
That's one of the channels they excluded? Is that right?
They moved it up to channel 116.1.
Oh.
And I think you need the the box to pick it up. And I don't have the box.
I think it's still on both channels. Maybe I'm wrong. I actually haven't watched it, so I can't say for sure.
Well,
and down here, I get it on the digital cable, and we did have one of those extra boxes, the EWTN Plus box is what we call it. But we got that from my mother-in-law so she could watch it up at the infirmary. Speaking, not at the infirmary, at the Wilkinson. Speaking of Wilkinson, and it's really not speaking of Wilkinson, except sort of, Ziggy Piurek passed away.
I saw that. Yeah.
Happened to be at Wilkinson, which is where he spent the last part of his life. But what a wonderful guy.
I think I only met him once.
You probably met him every time you went to the polls, because he was a Democratic.
Okay, all right.
Well, maybe not, because we voted different places, but he was the Democratic poll watcher. Now let's see, what is it?
Yes. He was on one of the commissions too.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Probably recreation. His life was devoted to sports and kids and everything. 96 years old. And he was working at the polls into his 90s, up until just a few years ago. He was a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, dyed-in-the-wool Yankee fan, and I couldn't have liked the guy more. Just a terrific personality, citizen, and just good guy all around. Just
another loss for the city.
Yeah. Nice family. He took care of his older sister for many years, Laura Schoonmaker, who was on my paper out on Brookside Avenue, and plus her son went to St. Mary's, so I knew him. Just the sweetest lady. She was as nice as Ziggy. Female version of Ziggy. And he would take care of his older sister. He was in his 80s, taking care of his older sister. One year we went to Fenway Park, and Pete Phelps, we called it the portable coffee shop. He had his RV. And Ziggy did most of the driving, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Because, it's a long way and it's a big vehicle, and they kind of switched off a bit. But, it was so, I'm trying to think who was there. It was me and Ziggy and Pete, and Vito D'Andriano, and a couple other guys. Can't remember. Maybe Jimmy Piurek was there, and I think Bob Janeski maybe. Anyway, so with the RV, we're like sitting around drinking coffee around the table while somebody else is driving, and it's like we never left Amsterdam, and all of a sudden we park on Lansdowne Street right behind the Green Monster. Sarah D'Andriano had packed us fried egg. You would like this fried eggplant sandwiches with the freshest Italian bread you ever saw. And each one wrapped in aluminum foil, and we got there, we bribed the parking lot attendant with a couple of sandwiches, and we heated them up in the oven beforehand. We had seats, this got to be about 1987 or so, okay? It was a long time ago. Late in the season, Red Sox are playing the Baltimore Orioles. Cal Ripken Sr. is the manager of the Orioles. Cal Ripken Jr. is playing shortstop, and Billy Ripken is playing second base. So, you had either that or they were playing second and third. I forget, but
family affair.
I turned to Ziggy. I said, "This is just like Little League. The manager plays his own kids, and everybody else gets to sit on the bench." Our original seats were about 10 rows behind the Orioles dugout. Field back seats. Wonderful. And they belonged to some food distributor or something. I don't know. I think we got it through Quants or they pass them around, and we ended up with them. Is that good enough for Pete? No, Pete walks around.
Got to get better seats.
He disappeared. He disappears for a while. As I said, it's about 87, so I was already a judge because he kept calling me judge. I remember that. And around the 5th inning or so, Pete appears again, and he says, "Judge, come with me." We go. We're walking around. Now this is Fenway Park. This is not Yankee Stadium. Everywhere we go, all the ushers are yelling, "Pete, Pete!" Yeah. we get to. He takes me all the way around to the Red Sox dugout, and he talks to the usher. And the usher escorts me down to the 2nd row to the left of the dugout where the team wives sit, okay? This is like, there are no more exclusive seats in this park that are available than this. And I watched the rest of the game from there, and Wade Boggs has a walk-off hit in the bottom of the 9th inning. They interview him, about from me to the camera, away from me. Oh, jeez. It was terrific. Absolutely terrific. And the usher, that usher was Judge White's brother-in-law's brother.
Really?
His sister's husband's brother.
That's a pretty good in.
That's a pretty good in. Anything for you, Pete, is it? I think Pete may have slipped him $5 or something for. Those seats now go for like $300 or something like that a game, something like that, maybe more.
I've only been to two major league games.
Ever?
Yeah.
Huh?
One at the Yankee Stadium. I was probably 17 because I was working in a grocery store, and then once after I became a salesman out in Chicago, we went to a game.
Cubs or White Sox?
I think it was the White Sox.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't care because I was with a bunch of guys and they wanted to go to the ball game. It's okay.
Well, Vito, who knows substantially less about baseball than you do, but
Is that possible?
yeah, but is nevertheless always interested in any place where there's a crowd. He turns to me at one point when I was still sitting with them over by the Orioles. He says, "What place is Boston in?" I said, "5th." This is like the end of the season. This is September. He said, "What place is Baltimore in?" 7th. When he looks around, he says, Obviously, if you're doing the math, you know that it's not quite like that. But one was last place and the other was second to last place. He says, "What are all these people doing here?" Because it was packed. I said, "Vito, this is baseball.
This is baseball. These are fans."
It doesn't matter what the standings are. The game is today.
Yeah.
You know? You got Bruce Hurst on the mound. You got Cal Ripken in the field. The Iron Man. Afterwards, after the game, we get back in the portable coffee house, and we drive to, this was a day game, must have been on a Saturday or something. We drive to Springfield, and now instead of Judge White's brother-in-law's brother, we've got some second cousin of Vito's in-laws twice removed or something, own an Italian restaurant in Springfield. So we go there and, "Hey, Vito, hey!" I'm surprised I didn't know Pete. We stuffed ourselves so silly we couldn't even get back in the truck. We just took a half-hour walk around Springfield that night, just to walk it off. Ziggy was there the whole way. God, I think he was still playing baseball into his 80s, or close to it. Anyway.
Yeah, I think.
He enjoyed every minute of life. His wife died about, I don't know, a year or two ago. They've been married like 72 years or something, something like that. Yeah. Good people. Good people. The kind of people make you want to live in Amsterdam, I'll tell you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great place to live.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So what else is going on at City Hall that, what are they fighting about up there now?
Here's something interesting. I happen to have Wednesday's paper in front of me. Hello, Miss. Yeah, yeah, let me put this up.
Don't drop it.
Huh?
Don't drop it. Oops.
You lost it. Okay, the official spouse.
Sorry.
Uh,
No, I don't.
the official spouse of the show with no name has returned. Did you try the coffee? I don't know if you can see this.
Going slow on.
This is one of yesterday's headlines in the Recorder. It says, somewhat edited. Survey says going is slow on relocation. What was edited?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's the school board.
Yeah, it was a school board thing. Yeah, but going is slow on relocation, and of course the.
Take it out of context.
Yeah, well, no,
Survey says.
you can just say going is slow, period. But yeah, of course. Well, we may be moving at some point, and I guess I'm moving a little slow on that.
There you go.
On that issue.
There you go.
It's big steps. Anyway, yes.
Ada wants the industrial building up there, Esquire building. They after 6 years, 7 years, they finally decided they're going to do something with it.
Of course, it's gone. The building is gone.
But
Now, there's a whole mess of things here, whole mess of issues that I think we should discuss, because a lot of things are not discussed. A lot of city issues are not discussed, and one of them is buried in this article.
well, the money that went with the building.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
That goes.
It says they're going to try to get the $2.5 million Restore New York grant.
But that's already been given out to the people who bought the place, right?
Who knows? No, nobody bought the place.
Or destroyed, or
Who knows, reading that, what it means. Now, first about the building itself. It has a long and terrible history. Esquire Novelty obviously went out of business. I don't know if they owned the building or somebody else owned it, but in any event, when Esquire went out of business, eventually the bank that held the mortgage foreclosed on the mortgage, okay? And they go through a mortgage foreclosure sale up in Fonda. There were 0 bids on the property. I don't know whether the bank bid in and took title or not, but not relevant because nobody wanted the building, right? The city they didn't want it so bad that they didn't even bother saving it by paying the taxes. They just let it go.
just let it go.
They let this building go. To them, it was worth less than nothing. Okay. So now the city takes it on a tax foreclosure.
Right.
And we have another sale on that. Tax foreclosure sale. Nothing.
Nothing.
Nobody wants it. We put it up a 3rd time. Nobody wants it. And then...
even though it had $2.5 million...
that's my point. That then at that point, when we could have applied that Restore New York money to tear down 60 buildings or something like that, or more.
Yeah.
Instead, we apply for the single use for this building, a $2.5 million Restore New York grant, which comes through. And even with $2.5 million of free taxpayer money, no one wanted to do anything with that building. They couldn't think of a single use for that building.
Yeah.
I think maybe they were kind of holding out for the data center that never came, that we were spending all that money on the lobbyists for.
That was one of the things, costing us $7
Okay.
million a month.
Now, nothing went with that building other than the footprint that the building was sitting on.
Right.
All of the land right up to the building was owned by Noteworthy, I think on all sides.
I think the driveway on the one side. Well, I'm not.
The driveway may be a right of way for the building, maybe, but there was no parking that went with it, and anywhere you went, you had to cross Noteworthy land to get into the building.
Right.
Except maybe from the front sidewalk, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it had all kinds of problems to begin with. It's not directly adjacent to the Mahaska property that we tore down with the previous grants. It's close, but it's not directly adjacent to it. It's a completely different project, even though originally they were all, McCleary, Welland, and Krause Division buildings. So now, first of all, where did the money come from to tear it down? Did anybody ever tell us that? Did they just borrow a couple $1 million to do that?
Wasn't that the Restore New York money?
Well, that's what I would have thought. I said, well, at least they're using the Restore New York money to tear this down. I don't think they did. I don't think they did, because now they're saying they're trying to get the Restore New York money reassigned to redevelop this property. That's what it says in the article.
Well, maybe the balance.
How can there be a balance? It had to cost $2 million to tear that thing down.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, if the money is there that they're trying to capture, then who paid for it? The city paid for it?
So in any event, we were once in line for a series of Restore New York grants. That $2.5 million. There was another $2.5 million that they applied for the south side. I think there was money that they applied for to restore the Key Bank building when they thought Uri Kaufman was going to get the Key Bank building, or going to buy the Key Bank building.
I didn't know
And in the entire Thane administration, not only has there been no Restore New York grants, the first one either didn't get spent or got misused or misplaced.
It's too bad we didn't listen to the radio today, because Van Hasselen was on with taking the mayor's place. And what's the name of his?
Position?
No, it's
Or the show?
the show. With
I have no idea. The show with a different title.
Well, yeah, but he's got a title of something.
Yeah.
And that's the way he introduced himself on the show. And I wanted to sit there and listen to see what he was going to talk about with that, because I think he was talking about the Mohaska building, or the Esquire building. So but we'll find out tomorrow. Yeah, I can't understand that. There's so many things going on in the city that nobody has any idea of what's going on, because it's kept under wraps.
It's all secret.
It's,
Something slipped the other day about putting senior housing down on the old Chalmers site. Where has been the public discussion of that? It appears on an old map with one of those pretty drawings that Saratoga Associates made. Right. We could put senior housing down here.
Multi-use property.
Yeah, but this will be all completed, and then they'll present it. Say, oh look, and we have to do it, or somebody else is going to get the money. 6 years. 6 years she's been in office, and this Restore New York money has been blown. And that would have been two. They were in line to get like 3 in a row. It would have been like
You know, these
$7.5 million.
These cities along the river are in dire straits financially, but they can come up with $1 million or $2 million to repair the bike path.
You know,
We've got sewers in the city that is costing us a bundle to repair,
right?
but they're going to put the money into the bike path when we could repair our infrastructure and stop polluting the river.
Yeah.
You know, there's other projects that they're going to pay for instead of taking care of the infrastructure of the cities. Put the money into the cities.
What did they spend? $3 million on that reroute of the traffic downtown, and I still can't figure it out. I mean, I use the new road. It gets me marginally faster to a couple of places, but not so significantly faster that for all the land that it took up to build.
Now you can get to the tattoo parlor on Main Street.
Well, that's true, but actually no faster. That's my point. If it was designed to get you to Main Street faster, it doesn't.
Well, that's what it was supposed to be designed for, to get you down there.
It doesn't. It doesn't get you there any faster, or not.
Well, you got several ways to get there now.
It gives you a couple of extra ways to get there, but it doesn't get you there any faster.
I mean,
about the only place it gets you faster to is my office.
which you're never there.
And I'm never there.
So that doesn't help us.
That doesn't help anybody, not even me.
The only thing that I'm happy about that it hasn't caused any real major accident.
That's true. I mean, you know, that first week was scary.
It was really scary.
And one of the reasons it's not causing major accidents, nobody's using it. I've never been on that road when there was another car going in the same direction I was.
I have.
Yeah.
I have, yeah.
And particularly the around the block by the library, it's like
That I haven't done yet.
nobody uses that.
I haven't done that yet.
And why would you? Who would use that?
I don't know.
Who would go that
Somebody
way?
who took the wrong turn.
Coming from where? You know, would they go that way?
Well, if you're coming from the West End and
If you're coming from the West End, you take the right on Market Street. You don't take the right by the.
Well, you forgot. You missed the turn.
Well, that's right. If you forgot and missed the turn, right? That's the only thing. Yeah. For people who are already lost, this will get them more loster or less loster. I'm not sure. Ada's done nothing since you guys left.
No.
Nothing at all.
Well, you know, even when I was there,
They weren't doing anything.
Ada didn't do anything. And they used. I complained one time that, you know, what's Ada been doing? And the mayor at the time comes out with a big binder about 2 to 3 inches thick. He said, these are all the things that have been going on with economic development. I said, wow, that's great. So I took the book. I went through it. In the 4 years that he had been there, or the 5 years that he had been there was one project in that book that our economic development had initiated. Everything else was long before they were in there, and you know, it was really a joke.
You know, I've said this before. I'm a big fan of Van Hasselen. I think he's a very, very competent guy. And if anybody can do the job, he can do the job, which is why I don't talk about it all that much. You know, philosophically, I'm absolutely opposed to the economic development director. It's because I think you're double. Not double dipping, but you're doing stuff that's already being done elsewhere, and the duties of the job are not such that they require somebody to be there full time anyway.
Right.
But in any event, let's completely ignore the charter issues and the fact that you guys repealed it. As written, the Community Economic Development Director is supposed to be the manager of ADA and the manager of Urban Renewal,
Right.
as part of it. Well, we've now got an Economic Development Director, but we've still got a manager of ADA and we've still got a manager of Urban Renewal. So all this stuff, and everybody's getting salaries.
Supposed to be the grant writer too.
Yeah, yes. That's right. So we got somebody else, you know, they got Nick Zabowski doing the grant writing, and he does a good job at that.
Very good job.
I'm not complaining about it.
No, he does a very good job.
You got the other guy in charge of Ada, and Von Hasselen in charge of the Economic Development Department, who's supposed to have everybody else under him. So, I mean, there's no lines. Of course, everything goes to the mayor. The mayor makes all the
Well, she makes all
decisions
the
eventually. So it's no wonder the places in the state of, how do we have to have it? If we don't have it, then the world's going to come to an end.
Yes.
Well, you know what? Well, what do we got to show for it? What do we got to show for it?
Not much, not much.
A tattoo parlor coming in.
But let's say, somebody said there was 3 new businesses down there.
There was some kind of
Tattoo parlor.
photography thing or something, and on the mattress. The mattress
Oh,
place
that's
is
right,
going in,
mattress
and
and the photography.
one of the old stores on the south side of the street. One of those places that comes in, stuff comes and goes. I think there was a video store in there at one time, and yeah, that's all right. But
No, as long as they get somebody in, you know, it's they're.
but are we spending tax dollars to encourage people to go? That's ridiculous.
I hope we're not.
I hope we're not. But we are, you know, these grants to fix up the storefronts and everything else, and
Yeah.
this whole cult of downtown is insane. I mean, as most cults are. The downtown is not there.
No.
It's somewhere else, and it's somewhere else for a reason. Because it serves the population better. All right?
Yeah.
And we might just as well accept the fact that we have a downtown and it's not Main Street. Main Street should be considered an old neighborhood, and we have neighborhood stores and small things that can't afford to go somewhere else, and it will have its own niche.
Yeah.
But it's never going to be the economic
No, it's not going to be the economic driver.
engine of the city.
No. That'll never happen. I wish it would, but I don't think it ever will.
No, and there's no reason for it to, because there's plenty of room to expand where the downtown already is, which is Route 30. And frankly, if you think about it, we've probably got far more shopping options right now in most respects than we ever had when the economy was on Main Street.
Yes.
You know? I'm sure they're doing a heck of a lot more business up there on Route 30 than all the stores combined on Main Street ever did. It's just that they're not all jammed in there. You can, now we solved the downtown traffic problem anyway.
Yeah.
Saw an old map wandered into the Walter Elwood Museum the other day. And it's Montgomery County. It has census data on it from 1835. And the map dates from around that time period. It's got to be like 1836. And the reason I say it dates from that time period is that it contained what's now Fulton County as part of Montgomery County. And that's just about the time they split. All right? So now we're talking, let's see, almost 200 years ago. 175 years ago, more than 175 years, or something like that, 175 years ago. The population of the combined counties 175 years ago was 46,000 and change, which is about half of what it is now.
Right.
I mean, it's incredible. When this was a backwater, rural frontier area, we had, just half as many people as are here today. And obviously, we're going the other way. At this point.
Well, the county is increasing. The city is decreasing. Is that?
I'm not sure. The county isn't really increasing either. I think the overall kind of stayed static over 10 years. But I think we're under 50,000 now, aren't we? Or we're,
49, supposed to be 49,000 something.
yeah, and as I'm saying, this was 46, and the Fulton and Montgomery are pretty close.
Yes.
Wow. So at a time when we should be, merging the counties or separating them.
I was just going to say, we should be start merging these counties and municipalities.
Now just think about this. I used to think about it all the time because they would, not all the time, but every once in a while they'd send me up to Fulton County to cover for family court up there. And it would usually be at a time where they called Judge Jung away at the last minute, and they asked me if I could cover his calendar. And I actually did both my calendar and that calendar, on the same day, and they're reasonably heavy calendars. But to go from my office in the Montgomery County courthouse to his office in the Fulton County courthouse, that's 4 miles.
I was going to say, it's very short distance.
It's 4 miles between the two courthouses. I'd get in the car and I'd be out of it before I'd turn the heat on, And you go up there and they've got, and of course people move back, and you see the same people in Fulton County that you saw in Montgomery County because they keep moving back and forth from Gloversville, They've got a full social service department, with the commissioner and the deputy commissioners and the department heads and their own probation department and their own sheriff's department and this and that, and the offices are almost right next door to each other, relatively speaking, it's 30 some miles from Amsterdam to St. Johnsville, but it's 4 miles from Johnstown to Fonda. It's nothing.
No, nothing at all. And I remember the first time I was running for alderman, the newspaper interviewed me. The first time or second, I'm not sure. And they were asking me questions about how we're going to do this, how we're going to, make better use. I said, geez. I said, why don't we combine our police and fire departments? I says, to start. I said, then go into public works or departments. I said, and eventually, I said, combine everything. The article in the paper the next day was, if there were 3 Nicosias on the council, the city would go backwards. Really? That's exactly what they said. The city would go backwards. 3 years later, another person running for the same office said the same thing, and they said, wow, what a novel idea.
Yeah, progress.
This is the person we need because forward thinking.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Must be the mustache, Jim. I don't know.
Oh boy. And that's why I always gave the newspaper a jab, because they were so biased.
Yeah.
So biased. These two guys seem to be a little better. These two new owners. We'll see how it shakes out.
I'm pleased with the paper. So I tell you, I miss Charlie already, though. There have been a few things that have happened since he left that I would have loved to have seen his caustic opinion on. Right?
That's the only thing that I miss is his rebuttals about some of the things that were.
And he didn't always agree with us by any means,
no.
But boy, he could. He didn't hold back on his opinions,
No, he didn't.
and
No, he didn't.
makes it interesting. Well, I don't hold back on mine either, but who listens to me? I don't have a newspaper. Only
How
have.
about these two new guys there, Weaver and
Becker. Yeah.
Becker.
Tim Becker. Yeah.
Have they put out a second edition yet?
Well, it's not like they have additions. They just keep, they keep adding stuff. So yeah, there have been a number of series of articles. There's a couple of new things on today.
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
What's their paper called that?
Mohawk Valley Compass, or the Mohawk Compass, or something,
Something like that.
The Compass. And I can't really call it a newspaper because it's not on paper,
Well,
but
no,
it's,
it's
but
a
you know,
online paper.
online,
Whatever.
online whatever. It's an online whatever. Tim Becker is he's got a business doing websites, designing websites and such, and operates out, by the way, out of the Walter Elwood Museum building now. He's he's one of the tenants of at 100 Church Street, and so I guess it runs out of there. But his father is John Becker, who was a longtime reporter for the Recorder, and I think he worked a couple other papers in the area too at one time or another. I guess he's retired. He's a little older than me, I think, but not much. So you got an experienced reporter there covering the county stuff. Dan has been covering the city stuff himself, and he's conscientious.
Yes.
Look, for any new reporters, it's tough to get a handle on what's happening in City Hall because it's so bizarre. You rely on your sources, which is like the mayor. Well, and the mayor does not have to sign these contracts if she doesn't want to. Well, yeah.
They had the one kid though that DeVries. He was a pretty good reporter when he worked for the Recorder. He was at City Hall every day, and he would check in everybody's office to find out what was going on. He did a pretty good job, and he got a better job up in Utica.
Oh, Dan, yeah.
So
Dan DeVries.
Dan DeVries, he did a pretty good job. Like I say,
I think he's still working for the polling company, if I'm not mistaken, with what's his name?
I think his wife got a job.
His wife was there first. That sucker, what the heck's the guy? Zogby. He works for Zogby in Utica, or at least he did last I knew. I haven't heard from him in a while.
And what is that, Zogby?
Zogby is one of the major polling companies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I think Dan was like writing up the stories related to the polls. I don't know if he's still doing that. Let's see. We talked about on the radio show about Heather Nellis getting an editorial job at the Recorder, which is nice.
But she's still
editor
reporting.
job.
She's still.
Well, I see that. So maybe it hasn't quite
gelled.
Gotten, or she's doing both maybe for a while.
Could be.
It's interesting times. I think if you're a young reporter, you're walking into a completely new situation in City Hall with this new Common Council, and you've got a county form of government that's never happened before, and an executive that we've never had before, and so far in both
new to politics.
In both areas, there seems to be a more openness on the part of the elected officials thus far, anyway. And I can't imagine Diane Hatzenbuehler being anything but the open person that she is. Whenever anything is, she's got her own web page there, and she's discussing what are the issues and what people are saying about this and that. And
I didn't know she had her own web page.
Yeah, she's got a couple of them actually, because she's got her own. They're Diane Hatzenbuehler, but she's also got. She started that Small City Politics Amsterdam Facebook page. Which is good. It brings out all the stuff that's going on locally. It's not deep into it yet, but it's good. It's well done. And Diane just lets loose. Well, this is how this came about. Blah 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 blah. And no mayor. We're not obligated to vote for this, but we are obligated to get it on the calendar, and
exactly.
so Oh, we got to stop this paranoia stuff. It's just, oh man. Look, you know, you've been in majorities and minorities, and majority is always better.
Yeah,
Uh,
usually.
usually, but I guess my point is, there, in the give and take of politics and governance, there are times when you're not going to get your way.
Yes.
And you know, John DeChesney was very eloquent on this one day at lunch, and he says, "Look, you know, you just sometimes you say, okay, I think this is a good thing for the city, and it's not going to happen, and you just fold your tent and you go home and you fight, live to fight another day and fight another battle." But she never lets go of anything. She's not going to win the golf pro fight.
No.
You know, there may be, you know, some compromise on the concessionaire thing on the length of the contract. That's a possibility. That could happen, and if it does, they're not going to bother me in the slightest. But she's not going to win the pro contract, so let it go. Let it go.
Get over it.
Get over it. And you know what? Appoint people to the golf commission who live in the city.
Exactly. That's the simplest thing she can do is look.
You don't belong here, get out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the people say you shouldn't be here, so I'm going to have to reappoint or appoint somebody in your place.
You know, I've looked at the charter, and it's absolutely clear that if you're appointing somebody from outside the city to the city office, you have to get, as a city officer, you have to get the approval of the Common Council. She has not done that.
No.
Matter of fact, maybe what the council ought to do is put up a resolution recognizing those two people as members of the golf commission, and then vote it down.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep. Yep.
How many votes did you get? 0. Oh, okay. All right.
You're gone.
You're gone. Then, of course, Jerry will introduce an opinion saying, well, she doesn't need the Common Council's approval of this because it's only an advisory body, and it's not. They're not officers.
So what else is going on in the city? What's the
I don't know. This is 2 days ago. I don't know. Let's see. Deputies may be returning to town court. Let's see. Police make additional raids. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad of that.
Well, they broke down another door by mistake.
Yeah, well, I saw that. Yeah. Yeah.
That can happen.
Now here it is. However, Ada must refund the city. They're going to turn that Esquire property over to, right? Over to Ada. However, as part of the deal, Ada must refund the city for the demolition of the former Esquire and Avidal building should funds be made available through a Restore New York grant.
Oh, okay.
Should they become available?
Should they become available?
In other words, the city paid to tear it down, hoping that there would be that they'd be able to use that Restore New York grant instead of getting it first.
What they do? They borrow the money to do it?
Apparently, yeah. How else would they have done it?
Well,
The city paid to demolish that building.
according to the mayor, we're flushed. Wow.
And, you know, it's just keep kicking that can down the road. They've borrowed so much money and have so little to show for the money they've borrowed.
I don't recall them borrowing money to tear that building down.
It was probably in some other account.
Some other account, some other loan that added the
I don't either. That's what I'm saying. A lot of stuff goes on that we never hear about until it comes in a parenthesis.
Yeah. Wow.
And we're talking big money.
$1 million.
We're talking a $2.5 million grant as opposed to $22,000 a year for the golf pro. Which one are we talking about? Or the mural, or the $15,000 for the mural, or the $50,000.
In effect, we lost $2.5 million if they don't give us that money. Wow.
Oh, in fact, we spend it before we get it and expect to be reimbursed for it. That's crazy stuff.
They should have formed a shell corporation and taken the money and did the job.
Oh my God.
Oh, dear, dear.
Or leave the building up until you know what you're going to do with it, because it adds nothing to the parcel.
You know, I was in that building. I had an enclave in there from where I worked before. We had two groups of people on two different floors. And at the time, well, yeah, it's been a while. The building wasn't in that bad a shape.
It wasn't in that bad a shape when we got it, actually.
So it deteriorated because nobody took care of it, like everything else in the city.
Right.
You know, when something goes wrong in my house, or if I see something needs a repair, I repair it. I don't wait for it to deteriorate to the point where
Where the
can't-
pipe breaks and,
Yeah,
and you have to
yeah.
replace the walls and the...
And why don't municipalities do that? They own properties all over. They have maintenance departments. They have janitors, if you want to call them janitors.
Yeah.
If you see something wrong, don't you report it to your boss? Say, you know, we got a slight leak over there. We better take care of it. But they wait till it gets so bad that all the timbers rot.
I don't understand it, but this city has always operated in this kind of vacuum. When I was city court judge for 9 years, okay. In that whole 9 years, there were toilets where the water pressure didn't work. You know, one of those high pressure where you'd have to flush it like 16 times because it wasn't working. Now, you know, I don't know anything about these things. I'm not a plumber, okay?
You knew it wasn't working.
I knew it wasn't working, and it continued not to work. I go up to Fonda, and one of the perks of being the family court judge is you have a private bathroom in the office. I thought it was great. Could keep the seat up and everything. Well, I go in there on the first day, and I had kind of a busy calendar, so I just like casually mentioned to the clerk or somebody that no paper towels in the bathroom. I give a crap about that, you know, and I come back from a break and there's two guys from DPW in there installing the new paper towels for me. It's like that, and it was the same way. Whatever we wanted done, we'd like to have a door and a window put in on this wall, and it's done.
It is done.
And it's done. They schedule it, and it's within a couple of weeks. You got these craftsmen in there working on this stuff. In the city, I could get nothing done. Nothing.
You know,
Except when Jimmy Crisali was running City Hall, and I said, Jimmy, would you paint my office? And
and it got painted.
oh man, what a job! What an artist! And what happens when the new administration takes over? They decide to do all this painting in City Hall.
Yeah.
Do they ask Jimmy to do it? No, they go out to a no bid contract.
No bid contract. New carpets, new wallpaper, new
Yeah.
paint.
Yeah. Well, I don't trust Crisali. Yeah. Yeah. This guy, my office could not have looked better when he had like 3 tones of paint on the wall.
Yeah,
Oh, jeez, it was great. You know, what do you call it? The
soffit.
The stuff of the crown molding. The crown molding was spectacularly done. And before it was just all bland, one color beige. You know, and when it was done in the cranberry walls and the gold trim and the
40
blue,
40 gallons of beige and paint all the rooms.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Oh man, like the battleship stuff. Yeah. You know how I got the offices painted in the city court? I'd find some good painting criminals and give them community service, and they come in and paint the office. And did a great job. I'm ashamed to say, I said to one guy one time, I said, who was a really good painter, I said, hey, you think you can get arrested within the next couple of weeks? We got a job for you. He did. I was embarrassed about it, but in fact he did get arrested, and he's one of those good guys when he's sober, and on weekends he visits the constabulary, and then the rest of the week he's painting my office. Not my office, but the court offices. Yeah. So there are ways to get things done if you want to get them done.
Yes.
I remember when, holy crap, it was like back when we had the pull alarms on the streets, which wasn't that many years ago. There was one that was out of order in the 4th Ward, something, when Petrucia was alderman. He couldn't get that done for nothing, and he would write letters like every other day. Please let me know whether this has been fixed yet. Nothing. Nothing. Mayor goes on a 2-week vacation in December, and Joey Pep is acting mayor. Gets done that afternoon.
But that's the way things happen. When I was an alderman, again, there was community neighborhood watches and neighborhood walkthroughs and everything.
Oh yeah. Huh?
Without fail, anytime there was one, they would never contact me. I had to find out through the grapevine that they were going to be in your neighborhood or somebody else's neighborhood, and I would show up. Oh, Jim, geez, glad you showed up.
Yeah.
I said, well, how come I wasn't notified? Oh yeah, he said the secretary must have missed it. So they had it in my neighborhood or my ward one day, and this was a bad street at the time. So I showed up, and I'm walking down the street, and there's a great big sign on the side of one of the windows. Where's Mr. Nicosia today? Where's our alderman, Mr. Nicosia, today?
Wow, they had set you up.
They set me up. So I'm walking down the street with the corporation council and the mayor. And the mayor, I said, isn't that cute? So that's all I said. He called somebody over, he said, get that sign down right away. they without fail, they would, when we had problems with the south of Route 5, across from the old brewery building where everybody was parking, it was all garbage and everything.
Right.
I had taken pictures and I sent it to Florida where CSX was. And I said, I would love to see this get cleaned up. I said that, it's your property. I said, and they're using it for this and that and the other thing. And the woman calls me and we discussed it. And I said, yes. She says, well, the people say that they own that property. I said, no, they don't. She says, well, I'm trying to get the deeds for that property, and she says, I can't get them. I said, really? I said, okay. I said, let me see what I can do. I called somebody I knew at Fonda. I said, I need a copy of those deeds. So I says, let me know, come and pick up. Don't worry, we'll deliver them. So they deliver them to my house. So I faxed them all to Florida. Years ago, there was a siding that ran across the street onto this guy's property, and he thought because that crossing had been there
Abandoned
years ago that he still owned that property, and he didn't. So anyway, I think it was probably 2 or 3 weeks later, they get a call from, I didn't know this at the time, they get a call from Albany that they're sending CSX inspectors up there. They're going to take care of this problem. I'm walking down the street one day, and I see DPW, the mayor, and CSX. Everybody's over there.
Everybody but the alderman.
Everybody but
Where's Nicosia today?
Yeah. So it was in the paper the following day how the city got the place cleaned up. I said, oh boy. I said,
well, in a sense, they did. You represented the city.
Yeah. I mean that. As long as they didn't give me some bad publicity about it, I didn't care. It got cleaned up.
Right.
But boy,
doesn't matter who gets the credit as long as the job gets done. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah. it was something else.
Well, you know, Duchesne did a lot of those neighborhood walkthrough things, and I know it's all BS and all that, but it does serve a useful purpose
it was
to
good.
point
It was good print.
point attention to the problem, and we're at least thinking about it or trying to do something about it, and that's good. Joe did something similar, I think, in his first year as mayor. When we went down to Front Street, remember the continuing problem with people dumping
Yes.
couches and everything else on Front Street, and so he brings all the cameras down to show all the pointing out all the garbage, and right in the middle of the photograph is my car. And my kids would circle that. Look at all this crap on Front Street. How can they stand for it?
Yeah, politics is
Yeah.
it can be funny, but it can be frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of theater
Oh
involved.
yeah, oh definitely.
Well, it's
I used to be in either the controller's office or the mayor's office probably, twice a month, every time I did the audit.
yeah.
What the heck is this? What the heck is this? You can't do this, you can't do that. And they would throw their hands up in the air. Hey, that's the law.
That's the way we do it.
Take care of it. Get it done right. That's why some of the department heads didn't particularly care for me.
Well, you know what? You're doing your job.
I did
It's
my
the same
job.
thing. Same thing now. With as Howard Asen once said to me when I was a new assistant DA, my grandmother can plea bargain tickets. So your job is to try them once in a while. So yeah, you're not going to make friends that way, but do your job.
Yeah.
All right. If you're just a rubber stamp, stay home.
Exactly. And
Let somebody else do the job.
and this past administration, that's the way it was. They stayed
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I told you. I think it was back. It must have been the year I was running for mayor. It was 1983, and I was attending a funeral, and I offered my car to, take a couple of people in the funeral procession, and so this one lady who'd been around town for a while, so probably my parents' generation. She thought it was wonderful that I was running for mayor, although she lived outside the city and couldn't vote for me. I get a lot of support like that. If I was running in Hageman or Fort Johnson, Tribes Hill, I'd probably do pretty good.
Would have been different.
Anyway, she says, one thing I've noticed over the years is that the mayors always bring their own backgrounds into the office. And you could see it in the way they conduct themselves as mayor. For example, Frank Marticella was a lawyer. And when he was mayor, they worked with the city charter, they passed a lot of laws, and you could see that that's where his interest was. John Gomulka comes in, he's an engineer by training. And so, you get the sewage treatment plant, the water treatment plant, urban renewal, new transportation, because that's the direction, that's where he's thinking. Villa, Breyer, Breyer, I guess, was in between. Breyer was a businessman, and and he starts, everything is about economic development, and the industries for Amsterdam, and the early days of urban renewal, and Villa brings in his stamp as a labor investigator and all that. So he's watching what the employees are doing all the time. And then she just kind of looks at me, and I said, "Well, I'm an old song and dance man myself." Yeah. And that's the way it is, Chippy dog. Yes. What?
Somebody took the boot away. Oh, there it is over there.
Yeah, he's yawning. Oh, he's going to stretch. He's going to roll over, give me his paw. Look at it. Oh, it's a tough life being a dog.
It's a dog's life.
It's a dog's life. Wow. You know, your ancestors were just running around the woods all day chasing squirrels. Did you know
He
that?
doesn't have to do that anymore.
No, it doesn't have to do that. Oh, we got a good deal. We got some about to expire Purina dog chow
Really?
the other day for $1 a bag for 4-pound bags. So
From where?
up at Big Lots. Big Lots. So you catch them at the right time. You can get some real bargains up there.
Yeah.
And what does he care if it's best used by January 2014? You know.
Yeah, what's he care?
Yeah.
It's a meal on the table.
As a matter of fact, we'll probably use most of it in January 2014, and it only costs $1. So we got for $9, we got 36 pounds, which we'd otherwise be paying 30 or 40 bucks for.
Wow, that's a great deal. Great deal.
Yes, that's right, Chippy.
So our next meeting is Tuesday, and they're going to have the resolutions on for the override.
Yep, among other things. Yeah.
I haven't gone on the computer to see if there's anything else on it.
No, I have not seen what else is on the agenda. No, or maybe that won't be released till Friday because, which is today, because that comes out of the Corporation Counsel's office. Should be done preparing the resolutions by today.
So I'll have to check that out this afternoon. See if it's going to be worth my while to go to the meeting and agitate.
You know, they ought to put an amendment. They should put an amendment on those overrides that says if the mayor refuses to sign the contract, then we authorize within, say, 10 days, then we authorize the city clerk to sign the contracts. They can do that.
Can they?
Absolutely. I never thought about it till Scrocky or somebody brought it up online, or maybe Carl Bay, or maybe both, I forget. And I thought about it. I thought, well, let me check it. I went through the chart. I said, yeah, nothing stops them from doing that. It's a ministerial act. Anybody can perform it. Ordinarily, the resolutions, contract resolutions, and we hereby authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the city. Well, they can authorize the city clerk, and the city clerk serves at their pleasure. So the city clerk isn't going to refuse to sign it.
That's right.
Right? All you're certifying is that it happened. Yeah? And it happened, and this is the contract. Why not?
We'll have to put a bug in somebody's ear
We just did.
to amend those resolutions.
We just did.
Well,
I
we
assume
did.
they're all watching the show.
Well, hopefully.
You should be watching it, you guys.
They may have turned it off already. It's
Too bad if you did. You missed the best part. All right, so we got the radio show coming up Tuesday as well in advance of this. So maybe we'll mention it again. We'll mention it on the radio
It's
show.
going to be Tuesday before the meeting.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So we mentioned it.
'cause I'm sure a couple of people listen.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder as I watch these statistics how many of these are people who love the show and how many are people who hate the show or who are watching it anyway to see what we're up to. Yeah.
Don't you have likes and on the show?
Yeah, not too many people hit that. I got one like, and I don't know, No, oddly enough, yeah, it's true. They are there, but people don't tend to use them on the YouTube stuff. Oh well, all right. Well, anything else we should tell the folks?
Can't think of anything. Like I said, I didn't bring the paper with me, and I don't remember what I read this morning or last night.
Last night. I don't. I've been reading so much of it online now that I only check the print edition every couple of days.
Well, I forgot my password, so I can't read the whole thing online.
Yeah, fortunately, I have a wife who always remembers the passwords.
No, So I gotta go on there and rewrite it, so I can read the paper, other than the paper.
I guess they don't even have clues on that site, like what was the name of your first dog or anything like that.
No, they don't.
That would help. It can be a complicated. I got it set up now so it loads automatically, so I don't have to remember the password. But if I hadn't done that, I was having a lot of trouble getting in. And sometimes I would get in and not know I was in, and then they still didn't know I was in. Or, I don't know. Seems okay now, though. They got to protect their product. I understand.
Oh,
that.
yes,
Yeah.
I'll go back in and see if I can find the password I used.
All right. Got another polar vortex coming next week, I guess.
Do we?
Yeah, might hit us, might not. Not clear. Not clear. I'm waiting for an up-to-date from my official weatherman of the show with no name, Rich Iwanski. And we'll find out. Anyway, let's hope Gavin is better by Tuesday, and that we'll all be back for our podcast next week. And we'll have Gavin's mug as well. This is mine. Jim's got his. Let's see. That's us.
There you go.
Hold it a little higher. That's it.
There you
Okay.
go.
All right.
There you go.
So I'm Bob Going with Jim the Kosher. We'll be back next week with more of the show with no name.